Our contributions in education will be our legacy in this industry.
Whether it's through live education or maybe through social media, we're always trying to make a personal connection with you, the learner.
At SamVia, we believe our smile is our business card, and our personality is our logo. And how we make people feel after you experience our education and tools is our trademark.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us, my friends, and be a part of the SamVia community.
Very happy Wednesday to you all. I'm Andrew Carruthers, Education Director for SamVia. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. So excited for today because we have just two wonderful, wonderful humans on with me today. Before we jump into that, just a little bit of housekeeping. Do have tons of education coming up. I think most of you that are watching, we've definitely developed a great crew of people. Hey, Tara Duddy, always on here. Love it. I think most of you know that we have education every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We do have a great new page on our website. If you go to the description in the video, you'll be able to click. Hey, Rosie, how you doing, love? Good to see you from Jersey. She's always on too. But if you click on the education link within the description on the video, it's going to take you to a page that has all of our upcoming education. So you'll be able to see now what's coming up way in advance so you guys can be ready for what's coming up. So Simply Irresistible, how you doing? Tatiana, so good to see you. Thank you for being here. Stanton, hey, what's up from Fort Lauderdale? Yeah, guys, I'd love to see where you're coming from, where you're watching from. So type into the chat where you're watching from. We'd love to say hello to you. Hi, Mary. Hi, Betsy. And just before I bring our guests on, we did extend our Show Must Go On promo deal for you guys. So you can actually still get an additional 10% off of site-wide on the website right now. You just use the code SMGO4. Here, I'll bring it up to here in the lower part. But you just use code SMGO4. Even works on the stuff that's already on sale, so it's a nice little bonus. We just want to, as much as possible, give you guys an opportunity to access the tools that you need at good pricing. So if you're needing some stuff, use that code. And so, yeah, that's all the housekeeping we need to do. It's time to bring in our friends. So Marquetta and Ricky were people that we were kind of more recently introduced to, but just kind of fell in love. Marquetta came and spoke with us at our Fabric of Change event, and she was just so powerful and so heartfelt and so wonderful that we knew that we wanted to continue our relationship with her. And then I started to watch a lot of her and Ricky. They do a show on her Instagram channel. I've been watching a lot of their shows lately, and it's just so great. Like, they're so fun together. So I really wanted them to come on together. But they recently did one that really spoke to us, and it was about being able to stay authentic within social. So that's what we're going to really focus in on today. So guys, put your hands together, give them some love, give them some hearts. Let's welcome Marquetta and Ricky Breslin.
How are you?
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing all right, guys. I'm doing all right. We were catching up a little bit before we jumped on, but it has been an interesting couple weeks. And I do want to say to the SamVia community, thank you guys so much. I haven't met many of you out there, but I was just my heart was warmed so much. You guys, all the messages that you sent, the support of our community and stuff. Thank you guys so much for that. But yeah, Marquetta and Ricky it was kind of fun. So we started to talk about our subject today, and you guys were driving to, where were you headed?
Orange County.
Yeah.
Orange County.
Yeah.
Heading out for a football camp or something?
Yeah. So we're in Las Vegas, and we were bringing our son. He had his running back coach is out there in Orange County.
Very cool.
We're those football parents that do all of the extra stuff.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, it was fun. I think we like chatted for like an hour and a half. It was awesome.
it was a great chat. It really was. We were just talking about that the other day.
Yeah,
it was just awesome.
Yeah. So give them just a little quick background of who you are, what you're doing, because, you know, you guys got your hands in so many different things.
So my name is Marquetta Breslin. This is my husband, Ricky Breslin. We've been in business this year, makes 17 years this year. I am a licensed cosmetologist. I started in the beauty industry as a braider. I actually taught myself how to braid on my Cabbage Patch doll when I was about 6 years old. And then it kind of grew from there. Ended up not pursuing hairdressing as a full-time career because I just did not know of anyone who did it successfully without having to work a second job. So I decided to drop out of college. I actually failed out of college twice, decided to go to the United States Air Force. And that's where I met this handsome fellow right here. Yes. And then we dated for about 8 months. We ended up getting married. We went into business together the day we got married, which some people would say that's crazy, but for 17 years, we've been able to make it work. Ended up getting my license as a braider. My husband has always been doing a lot of the stuff behind the scenes with marketing and websites and all of that stuff. I've been on the other side of things, doing the hair, doing the classes, teaching the people, and our business has grown. I also teach how to make lace wigs for cancer patients and people who suffer from alopecia or permanent hair loss. And then we have an entire marketing side of the business. Authored 3 books, working on the 4th one. We've got 2 kids, and that's about it.
That's a nice recap. I want to give a shout out to my girl. Hold on, where's she at right here?
Where?
Misty from Oklahoma. I was born
oh my goodness.
in Midwest City, Oklahoma. You probably know where that is at if you're from Oklahoma. You're either in Oklahoma City or Tulsa, or you are in the country. So
yeah.
Shout out.
Very cool. Oh, we got Kia in the house too. Hey, Kia.
Hi, Kia.
Kia, what's going on?
That's awesome. Yeah, and so what I know that you guys have your hands in a couple new things too. Do you want to share some of what you're kind of working on?
You spilled the tea. You always spill tea.
We are launching a product called the Social Media Blueprint, where we're giving templates and all those cool things and making life easier for people. It'll be a 5-day live event. So we're always doing stuff like that. We've got our hands. We're always planning and doing new things. And that's been the core of our business for 17 years is training. On the marketing side and on the hair side, and then also partnering with other people who are putting out their products and doing things on the consulting side. And then we're also in other industries too, the raw food industry, sports, different things. You know, these skills, when you learn how to run ads, drive traffic, and convert traffic, you can take that skill really anywhere and make anybody money. So, I mean, I would highly recommend that to anybody, even if you're only doing it for yourself. At least know how to generate traffic and drive yourself traffic, so you're never short of clients, never short of money, and you can create a nice position for yourself. That is the number one skill today, in my opinion, in 2020 and beyond. It's been that way for 10 years, but really it's essential right now. So you can also pivot. You know, like we know tons of people. We have a lot of inbound, just like y'all do, Andrew. We were talking about that in the car the other day. Like we hear a lot, right, from the industry. And a lot of them got stuck within this pandemic. And when you know how to drive traffic and you know how to convert traffic and you know how to reach a lot more people than just your local area, man, you could just do a whole lot more. You can pivot, do different types of classes. You can go to different industries. You can consult. It's never ending.
Yeah. And that's kind of a perfect setup for what we're going to talk about today too, because I think a lot of times what stops people is just not kind of knowing how to continue to move forward. And some of that is really that fear factor that you guys were talking about on that Instagram Live of, you know, the criticism and the pushback, and, you know, everyone gets to have an opinion out here.
Yes.
And a lot of times that opinion is not real kind.
No, you're right. And so many people get stopped in their tracks because of fear of what other people, the opinions of other people. So they hold themselves back from reaching maybe a subset of people nobody else would be able to reach in that way. Because I always say that we're built unique. I have a unique thing about me. So do you, Andrew. Ricky has a unique thing about him. And I always say that there are people that are connected to our destinies. So if you feel that inkling to teach, and that's a teaching bone that you have in your body or something you feel like you need to share, if you don't do that, then that means the person whose destiny was tied to you is now going to have to go maybe to someone else that doesn't have the thing that you have, which could have been the thing that catapulted them into a level of success that they would have only seen had you done your thing. So I always said that you have to, in order to be encouraged to push past those people who you feel are being so opinionated, you have to think of it as being selfish if you don't do it. I'm being selfish if I don't do it, because if I don't, then I'm taking myself away from these people who could be learning from me or who could be inspired by my story or whatever that thing is.
Yeah, I also think we get caught up in ourselves a little too much. We really, it's actually a selfish act to choose to be offended. So if you really break it down and peel a few layers of the onion back and think about it, it's almost a subtle narcissism. Like, we are so into that, but really it's a very selfish thing, right? So we should never stop putting out content. We should never stop finding those 3, 5, 6, 7 things we're great at and sharing them with the world, because you're going to attract. A lot of people like that. It's a buzzword of attraction and this, and but really what that is being yourself, preferably to a large group of people, and then whatever sticks. How many friends do you have that are just seasonal? There's nothing wrong with that. We can look at it as negative, or we can look at it as just the flow of life. And people come, people go, but it doesn't stop what you do. So me and my good friend Jason, we had like a 3-hour conversation on this, like 12 years ago, like little nerds. And we were talking about it. And the best analogy for whether it's criticism, social media, creating content, whatever it may be, is you literally have to look at yourself like a train. That train will keep going no matter what on those tracks. We will create as creators. Andrew, you're going to keep creating. Marquetta's going to create. We create no matter what. The train keeps going. But we do make some stops every once in a while. People get on the train. Andrew, in your life, do people get off? They get off. They get off. They buy. They go to another company. But that doesn't really have a lot to do with us. We have to do what we do. And when you commit to that, that changes everything for everybody. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't get there in the heart, so they just give up, or the criticism will be a little overwhelming for them, especially on the social media side.
Yeah. So, I mean, how do you kind of suggest that people find that special, like, this is my thing, like, this is my voice, this is my authentic space that I can speak from?
Well, let me say this, and I haven't refined my answer good enough for this, but I've been having these feelings lately. You just asked such a smart question. But a lot of people, when you say this, you're kind of narrowing it down to like, all right, what are the 2 or 3 things, which by the way is important.
Sure.
But there's also 8 billion people on earth, and what you feel may be very innate and special to you, there may be 7,300 other people doing it.
Sure.
Right? My thing is, I would recommend pushing even past that and still doing it anyway. Just still do it anyway. A lot of people have this like copycat thing, and they feel that, well, that's already been done, but that hadn't been said by you. You may be a 33-year-old woman in Florida. Well, you've had 33 years of a different experience, and you may come at it from a different angle. There's so many colors to this palette. And it goes back to that connection. People will connect with you based on the content you put out. But people really aren't putting out enough content, or they're so sporadic, they don't do it long enough to build an audience of people that like them and define their voice. And by the way, great point, and I'll end on this. You find your voice by documenting and putting out a lot of content, and it'll refine you over time. But a lot of people are too scared to put out content because they want it to be perfect on day 1, 2, 3, and 4. And until you are comfortable putting out great content on day 738 because you did all the other content, you're going to lose, because that's the refinement process. That's what makes you good.
That's
is
how
you can go
find
back.
Your voice.
And I know you've
Marquetta, how do you feel when you look back at your first first content?
I laugh, but you know what? Sometimes I'll have videos. I've been doing this. I've been going through and auditing my Facebook because it goes all the way back to I think 2006 or something like that. And some of those videos are hard for me to watch, but there's a realness there that I don't want to let go of. So I'll leave the content there. Sometimes it's very cringy and I'll say, okay, this is a bit much. But a lot of times I leave it there. I hear people say all the time, I go through and I take away all of that old stuff because I don't want anybody to see that. But there's a realness there and an evolution that people can appreciate when they go back and see the old stuff that you've done and looking at the new stuff that you've done. I do look at it that way. I do understand auditing and taking away the stuff that's really bad, but I do like that realness and people being able to see that evolution so that they can see, you know what, she started that way, so I just got to do it, and I know that I'm going to evolve and change and find my voice in the process. But them being able to see some of that older stuff is very, very, very important, I feel.
And Andrew, I want to give people some permission here. We've been doing this 17 years, day in and day out, 7 days a week. Yeah. We sell products on the MarquettaBreslin.com website, right? Well, just 3 and 4 years ago, we had a photo shoot that we both really can't stand right now. That's been on our product thumbnails from. I mean, I'm sure you and Sam and people you're like, and. Out of 17, that was 2-3 years ago, and we're doing it. We have a photo shoot this Friday where we went and bought clothes, and we have like 17 looks we're gonna do and all that. And the thing is you can look at that as like, what was I thinking, or it's just refinement. It's just you're just refining. So you could say we wasted money on that past shoot, and then I had the designers. I have to have the designers redo the, this is a $4,000, $6,000, $7,000 little flip we're gonna do, but it happens, and we're constantly refining. I mean, I'm sure you could speak on that, Andrew. I don't know how y'all do it over there at Sam Villa.
Well, and here's a couple of things that I picked up because Marquetta, I think one of the things that from what you said that is so important is that this might be a little bit of a different answer than it would have been a couple of years ago, because I think that within the world of kind of like video content and stuff, there was more of a perfectionistic factor to it. Like within our company, we've kind of shifted to where we used to shoot in these really big, expensive studios, really high-end production, really perfect cuts, all this different stuff. Well, lately, I just shot a couple new videos for us, and I purposely, I still shot with our high-end cameras, still shot with our good lighting and stuff, but I shot it kind of choppy and from a single camera. And I made it more kind of like that social media feeling because people want that more personal connection right now. And I think that kind of what you said, Marquetta, is so perfect because people want to see the real thing. They want to see it more raw. They want to see it more authentic. And so you kind of changed my mind about some things because I was kind of voting that we should do kind of an audit on our Facebook and pull some of that older content off. But you kind of just changed my mind, honestly. We're having a meeting about it, and I'll probably not suggest that because I think you're totally right. Like people want to see that evolution of content. They want to see where you came from. And someone popped in and said something. Oh, Tara said it proves to people anyone can do it. We don't start out experts. And I think that's brilliant because I know a lot of people look up to you guys. And a lot of people look up to you, Marquetta, as a content creator. And so for them to be able to see, oh, wow, look, here's this Facebook video where, she said a couple of times and she stumbled on her words and she wasn't, perfectly put together. That's human. And it probably is really encouraging to people.
Yeah. And I mean, I started doing the whole video thing when everybody wasn't doing it. So imagine how terrifying that was to be on camera, to know that people that don't know me are going to see this and judge. But I just knew that at that point, that was the only way, the best way for me to be able to get my message across to a bunch of people, because I had this thing that solved a problem that they had. And so I just looked at it with that mindset and figuratively, like not literally, closed my eyes and just did it. And then over time, the more I did it, the more I found my voice. I said, okay, now I know. Okay, now I'm getting comfortable. I can sit down a little bit. We used to do the same thing. We used to have super professional, pure white backdrop, all of that stuff. And then as time progressed, you know, we go now, we have a nicer backdrop, but it's not all super high. You know, we still use the great cameras and stuff like you do. But if you speak from the heart and speak what you know, it just comes effortless.
Yes, I'll also say this, and this is for everybody watching to give you comfort. We have tested this, put thousands of dollars behind this data so you can take this to the bank, at least in the beauty industry. We have some people probably aren't in the beauty industry watching, but we use Panasonic GH5S's, so 4K footage. We use Sennheiser $1,000 mics. We've got $3,000 lights, each one.
Yes.
Beautiful. But we have data to back up that, honest to goodness, iPhone footage that's a little choppy on a social media platform, 80+% of the time beats the refined 4K.
Yes.
Even though the iPhones are 4K, but there's just something different about it. So we have to all, especially in the beauty industry, be smart. Do what works, not what you think looks good. So that's very important. Me and Marquetta have tested, not significantly, but $3,000 or $4,000 behind certain ads where we literally just changed her nail color, and a blue outperformed a red by like 300%. It's crazy. Just because it was a unique little blue. Yeah. Weird stuff like that. So I say that to say, and I like Rosie's comment at 419. She says, I don't understand that what refinement is. I'm not being funny. I just do not understand. I'm passionate about hair. I've been doing it 30 years, but there is something lacking that I need to improve. So Rosie, and I love you, Rosie. I love you. Ricky loves you. I would say there's nothing lacking in you. Absolutely nothing lacking in you. You were built and born perfectly. There's nothing wrong with you. You probably just have a few blockages where perfection comes in, where you want to do everything to a T. What I would suggest is that you go to get a mobile rig. What's the company? Joby, JOBY.com. Drop $139, buy you a mobile rig, and buy you a $200 Rode microphone. So you can get in the whole game for $300 or $400 and learn that. Learn how to tell a story. Learn how to do a beginning, middle, and an end. And I want you to buy a book, Rosie. It's called How to Shoot Video That Doesn't Suck. $15. I want you to buy a book. And the author is Steve Stockman. And Steve was the first time I read a book where I said, oh my gosh, I can do better. Because Steve's premise in that book is, hey, Andrew, great video. It took you 8 minutes to say that. Could you have done it in 4? And then when he says, hey, Andrew, could you have done it in 4? Could you have done it in 2? And he chips off this fat to get to the essence of things. Yeah. And he tells you how to tell a story. And most people on here just need to learn how to tell a compelling story. And you're
Tell me the name of the book one more time. I'm sorry.
How to Shoot Video That Doesn't Suck by Steve Stockman. Great book. Everybody needs to read it.
Phenomenal book. We've made our daughter read it.
We have sold so many of his books.
I know.
But it's a great book, and it's great for everybody, whether you're writing an email, whether you're creating, right? We're all creating narrative every day. We're all creating a story around what we do. Andrew, when we got on, you told us about these fires and you had these amazing stories. I was glued, dude. I was like, it was amazing. You had, like, what you told us today in 4 minutes is like 3 different emails that are so compelling. And people just aren't able to take their daily life and create content out of it. And I think that's the key. So Rosie, nothing wrong with you. You probably just need to be a little more creative on the content side. And so many people in your local area and internationally will be attracted to you if you find that voice and you come at it with passion.
Love it.
So cool. Lydia, thank you. Lydia popped into the Facebook chat, the actual Amazon link for the book. So thank you for doing that, Lydia. Super cool.
Nice book.
I just want to take a second too and shout out you guys. We've got people from all over the world watching. We've got Morocco, we've got Melbourne, Australia. Like,
beautiful.
This is what I love about this platform. It's so cool.
Yeah.
And Giovanni, thank you so much. You are so sweet. She is just showing you guys so much love, showing us
thank you, Giovanni.
Thank you.
You're so awesome. Okay, so we start to put ourselves out there. We get the courage up to start to, be ourselves and put our stuff out. And someone jumps on and tells us we suck. What do we do?
All right, we have a simple philosophy, and Marquetta will tell you.
Oh, thank you. Well, first of all, my 2 favorite words when situations like that happen are delete and block.
If they're extremely rude.
If it's extremely rude,
don't be afraid of that.
Correct.
Yeah, and it's smart to do that if they're very like you know what I'm saying, Andrew.
Right.
They can get a little
because
crazy.
They're in your ecosystem and you control the narrative on your social media platform. So if you don't like it and it's negative, you can delete them and block them. That's number one. Number two, what you have to realize is that when people give off and fire off that type of negative energy, it's not about you. It's about an insecurity within themselves. And whatever that thing is they see in you, they feel like they have to lash out at you. Understand that at the end of the day, it's not even about you. It's about them and whatever they're going through in that moment. So if you keep that in mind when you see people who lash out like that, it really will help you to deal with it better and understand that it's nothing that you did. It's an insecurity within them that for whatever reason, they can't handle what you're doing. So they chose to lash out at you. And the other thing I'm going to say is people who are actively doing things in business and life would never, in my opinion, we haven't seen people
I've never seen
this who are actively doing things will not downplay someone or negatively have such negative words to say towards someone who's also doing something. So one entrepreneur would not come to another entrepreneur. And first of all, they don't have the time. I don't have time to go and look at what other people are doing and comment negative things because I'm actively working on making sure that what I do is I'm providing amazing content and products to the people who like me, the people who know, like, and trust Marquetta and Ricky. No one who is actively doing something is going to spew out that level of negativity.
Isn't this a hair show? Andrew, why do you have a guitar? But see, these things, Andrew.
We're talking about negative people.
These things, but those things are going to happen all day long. Why is there a guitar?
Totally.
Your hat should be bent just one more half inch. So these are things that are on there all the time. Now, one thing I will say, opposite of what Marquetta said, which isn't completely opposite, it's just another thing to look for. You don't want to think everybody's a hater. Everybody's not a hater. If it is a product-specific thing, if somebody says, you know what, these scissors make this weird noise, you and Sam are going to be like, really? Let's audit that because you're going to be smart and audit that. Or if they're going to say, Marquetta, you said in this product this, and you can use it as improvement, that's a beautiful thing. They're not a hater. Yes. They're a customer who have a concern. We have to learn to differentiate that because most people are on their little ego trip and they want it to be all about them and they're hating me and they can't take anything constructive because they're too sensitive. So we also cannot be sensitive as content creators.
That is an excellent point.
We cannot be sensitive as content creators.
Because that's very true. Like, the hard thing about social media and the hard thing about anytime things are just coming through in a digital format, you can't tell context. So a comment, depending on your mood and your perception of the content or the comment, could potentially be very, very harmless, or it could be completely brutal, and it's your interpretation of that comment. So I think you're spot on. There's a great book called Creating Customer Evangelists. And in that book, it actually really helped me one time because as a hairdresser in the salon, I had this person and she kept coming back. Like every time I did her hair, she would come back and she's like, well, I kind of didn't love this. I kind of didn't love this. I'm like, after like 6 or 7 times, I'm like, why is she still me? Here's the reason why. is because every time she came to me, I actually listened to her.
Fixed it.
And I tried to do something different for her. And she finally told me after 6 or 7 times coming to me, she's like, you know what I really appreciate? She's like, I know I'm picky, but you actually take the time to listen to me and you don't make me feel bad about it. And I was like, whoa. And in that book, Creating Customer Evangelists, they said the customer that is willing to complain is potentially your best customer, because they are giving you an opportunity to do something different and create a better relationship. And I was like, wow, that's such a different perspective, because when we get that complaint, when we get that negative feedback, the immediate thing, and it's just our ego, and it's okay, it's natural for the ego to pop up and be like, whoa, no, I'm not that person, I'm not that way, I'm not bad. But when we calm that down and we look at it just from a different perspective, this person could potentially be the best customer you've ever had if you take care of them and if you don't see it as a threat.
But you also, Andrew, you did something most people don't know how to do, and that's have empathy. You were empathetic to her positioning, and then you actually worked. Like most people get that one little 2% attitude can ruin a relationship for life. You actually listened and did it, man. That's a pretty rare quality. It may come easy to you, but like out there in the world, that's what's amazing about you, man. You're very, very empathetic, and it's probably the number one skill you need.
I just don't think a lot of people have that perspective when it comes to a complaining customer. Is automatically looked at as, oh gosh, here we go again, instead of listening and understanding where they're coming from and then course correcting from there.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people even look at it that way.
And I think it's easy also for all three of us to sit here and act like we're the best, most empathetic people on earth. But an example that keeps me personally going is, you mentioned, both of y'all have kind of mentioned this, just like empathy in general and understanding and loving people. But Andrew used the word, what word did he just use? He used context. And I'm always so hypersensitive on context, and it's what keeps me balanced. For instance, you have a guitar behind you right there, and somebody may comment, be like, dude, we're on this is a hair show. You just had, I guess you like it, or they may make a funny comment or whatever. But the moment you say, for instance, yeah, that's, it's kind of important to me. It was my son's, he just died last week. So when you have context and you don't assume things, you yourself become a more empathetic, kind person in general. So I just think that's also a lesson for all three of us. I'm not trying to teach a lesson here. I'm just saying we have to be mindful to not hate, to not do any spew negative comments on the internet, to understand that you don't know where people are coming from, what they've been through, and what they're trying to accomplish. Our job truly, and I mean this, is to love. It is to love, and it's to understand that I don't know nothing about you. I don't know nothing about you, and I'm just going to be kind. And if you roll with that, that'll give you the internal confidence moving forward to create your own content, because you can have more empathy for other people.
There are times that there's one time in particular that I can remember. I had a young man, it was a post about, I posted something to Instagram about hair loss. It may have been me making a wig or putting a wig on someone or something like that. And he had the longest, most negative paragraph ever, but I left it there. And this time I actually took the time to respond. And it wasn't a rude response because he wasn't being rude. I just think in the way I was reading it was probably like, oh, he's so disrespectful. But I just explained to him, and what he was basically saying is, why are women always wanting to just wear somebody else's hair? And I explained to him, it's not that women are always wanting to wear someone else's hair. Some women don't have that luxury of, they can't just grow hair. Some women have permanent hair loss from multiple different reasons, or people who suffer from alopecia or who lost their hair due to chemotherapy. Right. He wrote the nicest reply back. And I genuinely think that just the context, because I looked at it differently, but I don't think he meant anything by it. I think he was really wanting to know. But to someone on the outside reading that, it was like, oh, you are just disrespectful, because that's initially what I thought. Yeah. But I did take the time to reply and explain it. And he was so nice in his reply back. Like, he genuinely had no idea. He didn't get it. He couldn't put 2 and 2 together. But then, of course, you're always going to have those people who mean things, and you just handle that accordingly. But sometimes you do have those people where you're reading it, and depending, like you said, Andrew, on your mood at that moment, your fingers are going off. And then that person may have not even meant it in that way.
Right. So that's one part of, kind of like learning to kind of take the feedback and stuff. Now, let's be honest, there is sometimes that people are just being downright hateful.
Yes.
And I know that your daughter kind of experienced that, right?
Oh my goodness. So our daughter started doing makeup when she was 7 years old. She's 16 now, and she's still doing amazing work. But when she first started, about a year or two in, she came to us, she said, I want to do YouTube videos. And the first thing we thought was, heck no, we don't want you to do that. People are
don't want you for a little girl to go through that.
So she kept asking us. She was very persistent. And we sat her down, and we had to, and it's a shame that we have to do this, but we did. And we explained to her, listen, people are going to be mean to you. They are going to call you names. They are going to say you're horrible at makeup. They're going to say all kinds of things to you. Do you think that you're able to handle this? Now, who says, do you think you're able to handle this to a 8-year-old or 9-year-old? Yeah. But we really had to lay it out and show her examples and explain examples. And we mentally prepared her for what she was going to experience. And sure enough, she was called the B word. She was called all kinds of crazy things, even at 8 years old. And she laughed at it because we prepared her for it. We had to tell her this was going to happen. And when those things did happen, she laughed at it and brushed it off. But it was sad that we even had to do that. But people get so much courage behind either a phone or a keyboard. But it's unfortunate that those things do happen, and it's out of pure, just purely being mean. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
how do because it sounds like your daughter's got a great sense of self-confidence too.
Yeah. She built her confidence based on her ability, her work ethic. I'll say she knows that, she put in the time, she did all of the reading. And when she put her information and her content out there, she got some negative feedback, but a lot of the positive feedback is what really gave her the encouragement to keep going. Hey, there were kids that said, oh my gosh, you just inspired me to start my YouTube channel, or you inspired me to, whatever it was in that moment. And so that's what kind of gave her a little bit of the confidence. And then knowing too, believing in herself, believing in her skill, and knowing that, hey, I have this group of people out here who are learning from me and watching what I'm doing. So I have to keep doing it.
So, and another thing I'll mention, and this is for all the parents out there, and you may not agree with what I'm about to say, but this is how me and Marquetta have done it. We found really great success in this model because it was very contrarian 10 years ago. But every year we allow our kids to choose whether they want to be homeschooled or go to actual school. Now our son is in football, so we moved here partly for him to go to a good football school. But Naya has always chosen homeschool. And I'll never forget, we did a video with her on Facebook, how long ago was that? 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
And it went viral very quickly. In 2 days, it had 1.3 million views, 10,000 comments. It was going crazy. Mm-hmm. And half the comments were, she's too young. What are you doing? You need to be in school. You need to do this, this, and this, and this. Yeah. And when you're a creative person, school can actually be a detriment to you. It could really slow you down. And parents, I think just now in 2020, post-pandemic, post-Zoom, post this new era, are getting comfortable with saying, my son plays the drums, man. That's all he thinks about. And maybe we get him this, you can do the basics. We are making our daughter graduate high school from a homeschool program, but we have focused on her career or having fun, and we don't push them as parents. They have to make the decision. But she's been the youngest brand ambassador for Black Opal Beauty, the makeup company. She's been with Justice Clothing. They've flown her up and did these big shoots and did all this. We live in Las Vegas. She'll go down to the Strip, make $500 or $600 in 4 hours, come home, and she's just turned 16. She's doing this at 14, 15. She's making money, having fun. And I think that if parents would allow their kids to be free, allow them to produce and get a client and sell something, and the amount of confidence you would see in your child, you can't stick them behind a desk and allow them to sit there, shut up, be quiet, and please the teacher. That doesn't work for creatives. It does not work. It only hinders. Do what you want to do, parents. But what I'm saying is, I have seen, and Marquetta has seen, great results from not only our children, but ones that have taken that advice and allowed their children to be free. Andrew, do you have any? I think you may have a word on that. I don't know if you have any opinions on that. I'm actually interested, and I don't know your opinion.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not a parent, so I don't know that I can necessarily voice an opinion to parents, but I definitely would tell you that everything that you guys just said points to one thing. If you are being true, if you are being fully authentic to yourself, the confidence will come. Because the reason it sounds that your daughter was able to be resilient to that negative feedback, the reason that she's able to continue to do it with passion and not let those things get in her way, is because she is being fully authentic and true to herself. And I think you're right on, Ricky. And there's a lot of stuff coming out right now. Well, in the last 10 to 15 years, you guys know, I think, I'm a life coach too. And so part of coaching, I take people through this thing very often called the Strength Finder. And the whole principle of the Strength Finder test is that you find those 5 things that are so deep and natural to you as a personal strength. You put your energy there. And traditional schooling, what traditional schooling tells us, you got an F in math. What do they tell you need to do? Stop doing the other stuff and focus on math. Well, if you take the same amount of energy and you divert that to something that you have no interest in, you are not talented at, you have no natural ability, and you take all that energy and put it into that thing, how successful are you going to be? You're not. If you take that same energy, that same passion, and you put it into something that you love and you're naturally good at, that's where people just blow up and excel, and they're so happy and they're so authentic that's where that just life force comes from. And so I applaud you guys hugely for giving your children that opportunity. I think that's brilliant. I just think it's fantastic.
Well, and I think that the whole culture has shifted, because I would be, and Marquetta would be lying to you also, if we said even 12 years ago, we didn't look at each other and say, are we screwing our kids up?
You guys are too cool.
Because like the society isn't, they are now. People are thinking 2020, not when we.
But for years in the beginning, family was like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? Are you crazy?
You got lots of
yes. And we are both 40, we both turned 40 in April. And I don't know how you grew up, Andrew, but I grew up feeling like I wasn't good enough. I grew up feeling, because of report cards, I had very bad grades. I was very uninterested. What I didn't realize was how the human brain actually works when you're 12. And back in the 80s, early 90s, a report card was really representative of how successful a child was. When it couldn't be farther from the truth, I just needed to know something I was interested in and go all in on it. So you were told for 20 years, something's wrong with you.
Right.
When there was nothing wrong with Marquetta, me, you, if you made bad grades, I don't know where you were at, but it was very grade based. And I think people are finally starting to get in tune with the actual person and not the structure built around them and how they perform within a structure.
I love this conversation. Like, like the whole time we're talking, I'm getting like chills up my spine because I think this is so important. It's so valuable because the world has shifted so much, and especially in the last 6 months. You know, we knew that digital was going to eventually be the place that people learn. Really, live hands-on stuff will continue to happen, but it'll probably become a little bit more of a niche kind of a thing. We've been seeing this transfer into this digital world for a very long time, and COVID sped that up. It brought it to the forefront. So I think this is so timely. It's so perfect because we kind of have to accept that things have shifted and find our way within this space. And I think, you know, I'm going to come back because I'd love to have you guys comment on this. So Oscar Alfonso, he had commented earlier that he would like to start to do more teaching because it's something that he's passionate about. And he just commented, he just said, I'm worried that he's too old for this and it's too late. Is it too late for him to take one more punch at it? And it's like,
I love Oscar, dude.
Are you taking this?
No, because I love Oscar.
Okay.
I can already tell you, I love him. We both got the beard. I'm gray. I'm moving. I'm graying a little bit. But Oscar, what's cool about that is that 99% of the other people on the internet say and feel like you do. And believe it or not, man, there are people your age that you would so connect with, man. You actually have more of an opportunity than Andrew or me and Marquetta. I'm being dead honest about that.
You should
like
share
you
the
should
story
be
about
you should be
Mr.
excited
B.
about it.
Share the story about Mr. B.
That's a good one. So we had a neighbor. We had a neighbor, and he was a black man, 91 years old, and he had a white wife, and they were one of the first. I'm not going to go into the whole racial thing. We lived in South Carolina at the time, not the greatest place for a mixed couple.
No.
We moved out west. But it's cool. Me and Marquetta met in Virginia. We're in South Carolina. Anyways, he was our neighbor, 91 years old, still handwriting plays. And they both went to Juilliard, but he was doing plays and music in the plays.
Scoring music.
And they both went to Juilliard and were very talented. And his passion at 91 was so inspiring. Anyways, his wife broke her hip, and we would take him to go see his wife for like 3 months. They'd never been apart for like 50 years, not a day until the day she broke her hip. So he was in shambles and half blind. So we had to cook and clean for him for 3 months. Long story short, the passion of a 91-year-old man, and I don't know how we got there because he definitely couldn't drive, but he pitched his play to the Somerville where we were living at the time, the theater. They like picked it up, and he at 91. So my man Oscar, until the day you die, until the day your number is called, man, create and have fun and make stuff, and you'll connect with people all around the world your age, man. If you just come from the heart, it's game over.
Yeah. And he was talking to you about starting a business, actually. Remember?
He really was.
At 91, when he wanted to go into business. At 91.
He really was, yeah.
Yeah. So
really
it's never too late.
Yeah.
Never too late.
Anyways, we loved him. He died right in that upstairs. He fell like a lot of our elderly brothers and sisters fall, and then they pass along. But it was a unique situation for that time in our life a few years back.
Yeah.
Marquetta, when you're creating your content, tell me like what is kind of your process, and like how do you create the intention for what you're going to put out?
A lot of times it's based on what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. And sometimes it may be something that, for me, you probably know this, I'm a very spiritual person. So when I wake up in the mornings and I go into prayer or, whatever, just meditating, sometimes I'll get an idea, and that will be my piece of content for that moment. And I won't know who it's going to be for, but I'll get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 emails, some DMs saying, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That was for me. And the reason why I just wanted to even mention that is because a lot of people have those unctions and those feelings about, it could be a quote, it could be anything, and they want to say it, but they're afraid to say it because they're afraid they may get judged. But know this, that thing that you're feeling, that those words you feel like you need to say is not for you. It's typically for somebody else. So when I started being obedient to those feelings that I was feeling and started sharing those things, then I started realizing, hey, Marquetta, these aren't for you. These are actually for other people. So that's part of one way that I come up with content. And then a lot of times it's just based on if we're on our live show and I'm seeing the same people comment and ask the same things, I will pull that comment out and create a piece of content specific to that thing. Or if I'm doing market research and I'm looking in the comments of under videos or under popular social media accounts, and I see the people asking the same types of questions, I will pull that and make that a piece of content. Or if I'm seeing mishaps or mistakes or something, I'll pull anything and make it a piece of content. I made a piece of content out of a man who had an attitude, a delivery guy who had an attitude because he had to deliver a bunch of boxes to our house. He got so mad, but I said, okay, there's a lesson in this. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote an email about the whole situation, but the lesson was, if you're not happy in your current situation, you have the power to change it. So I'm always looking at content from that aspect, from a value aspect. How can I be valuable to the people who are consuming this content? So I never create with what I want to do. It's always about the end user. It's always about them.
I'll layer on top of what she just said, just so we can bring it back to even more practical to help the most amount of people.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't disagree with what you just said. You just said everything perfect, but probably 5%, Marquetta, you'll do something that's for you. 5%, because you were like never.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm talking in terms of creating video and all of that stuff. So yes, you're right.
As Marquetta's doing her whole brand and her whole, like, her content, which goes everywhere, if we had to break it down into pieces, we look at what's going on today, like get on Google Alerts. Mm-hmm. You should everybody on here should have 30 or 40 keywords popped into Google, just so you can get a weekly, every Friday they'll give you a digest. There is not enough content you could possibly create.
So much.
We have, and I kid you not, I said this on our live show the other day. I was like, we were doing a Q&A, and we have an Excel document. It's a G sheet with over 3,000 questions. We did a survey to our list. We just can't even get through them all. So you've got Google Alerts. You can survey your current people. Mm-hmm. We have a fairly large email list, so we get a lot of inbound from that. We've got inbound from phone calls. So all inbound phone calls, I don't know how y'all do it, Andrew, but our staff is made to just, in a G sheet, write a little sentence on what it's about. So you've got to, when you're doing a lot of content, you need to set up your life to where you have automatic inbound. Want to write that one down. You want automatic.
Hey, Sam, you getting this? All right.
We want automatic inbound. And then what you want to do is you want to curate your inbound. Also, if you work for our company, you must have one idea a day. That's a writer down or two, because people are going to experience things that if you force someone to compress their knowledge and throw up all over you and give you everything at once, people get stuck. But people have unique experiences and procedures and processes and things they do on a daily basis that one a day is easy. And we have tons of that. So now we have that automatic inbound. And then you can assign one person to take all your inbound and refine it down to actual titles. So we work in actual titles, what we just call headlines. We are all about the headlines, and everything will trickle from the headline. Always remember that. Just think a YouTube video title, a subject line in an email. We're always working on that because we can create the content if we just have the vision, the one idea. Mm-hmm. So, and I'll end on this. This could be an 8-hour training session, by the way, what we're doing.
Is this part of what you guys are putting together with your program?
This is part of the social media.
These are the things. So fantastic. I want to make sure they can leave here with like, oh my gosh, it's unlimited. Guys, it's unlimited content. Mm-hmm. Just what I just told you. It's unlimited. And if you don't have a staff member and you're independent, just go to Upwork. Hire someone in the Philippines, Thailand, at $5, $8, $12, which is, they never had the money before. They're happy to do it, and they're great researching things. They can research and deliver you once a week, 50 new subjects. Now, is that innate and personal and from the heart from you? Not necessarily, but you're creating cool content and answering questions.
Yeah, it's like something you can start to pull from.
Exactly.
It's part of the mix. Yeah. So me and Marquetta's like 10, 20% like personal, fun, kids, Ricky, married, our life. And then we have more strategic stuff, which is we're answering industry questions. And then we have products and services and all that stuff we do. And we blend it all into me. There is no separation. It's our life. And when you're creating content, you want it to be your life. It shouldn't be I'm off at 5 and I'm this. Our antennas are always open. We're looking for ideas. We're looking for inspiration, right? Does it ever turn off in your brain, Andrew? Is your antenna always on?
Always.
It's always on. Sure.
I try sometimes. That's what whiskey comes out.
They're not always on, but you get the point. But I hope that helps some people watching now, because really create that automatic inbound, and then you won't even have enough time. I mean, we have content backed up for ever, and it'll never stop.
Oh, come back, Ricky, and train on this topic. Great information.
Hold on. Marquetta brought me on. She said, Andrew wants you on. So I said, we'll come on as a couple. All right.
I've kind of been really enjoying having couples on. Like, there's something that happens. Couples are on, they kind of feed off of each other, and it's really fun. We've had quite a few couples on recently. It's cool.
That's really cool.
Now, my man Oscar, where have you been all my life? Now, Oscar, you're talking to me, right? I gave you me and Oscar. Okay.
Yeah, there's definitely a bromance happening, I think.
Yeah.
There was another question I want to hit before we kind of wrap up, because I think this kind of goes to the same place. Kara was asking, want to get into mentoring leaders within our company I'm employed in. How do I put myself out there to get that opportunity? Is social media a good start? So any thoughts for her?
Well, what I would do, Kara, excuse me, is I would create, if I were you, and this is a very strategic question, let's just say you work at Pfizer, there's 7,800 employees. I don't know the data on all that, but let's just say that that's the case. I would create some sort of a leadership podcast, and I would get your company on it, or I would pitch your leadership an internal podcast where the entire company can listen to the C-suites and above. And I would start creating a whole new culture around education. See, most company cultures, like in really anybody over $5 million and 100 employees, really lose all intimacy, and it becomes very formulaic, and people get very bitter. If you pitch, in a sense, now you may not get your first pitch, so you may have to create content around it to get noticed, but I would interview people within your company and make your company look good. Because if you make your company look good and the employees are happy and they're motivated to be there, now you've got something, because now you're talking to the heart. So that's what I would do. And I'm telling you, at the end of the day, whether you make $1 million a year or $58 million a year, we all still love our kids, don't want our little babies to throw up on us. We go to the bathroom, we pull our pants up. And people, honestly, at the end of the day, just want to love. They want to care about people. And your C-suiters and above, this is coming from experience, will listen to you. They'll be excited about this. They just don't want to do it. So if you have a passion to do it, organize it, name it, and share the vision with them with passion, I can guarantee you, the company will be better. You'll get that job probably promoted, and you will have a whole new title.
I love it.
The mic gets dropped.
It's 5 o'clock. There we go.
I had a feeling you guys would have something awesome to say about that.
Yes, that was great. That was great.
Thank you. And let me finish on this. If nobody will listen to and you don't feel heard, just create a podcast. I'm sure it's already out there. I don't even know. I'm just making this up. Something broad like The Leader's Way or something inspirational. And then your subtitle could be like how leaders can transform the world. And then go out to people like Andrew, Sam, Marquetta. Go out. It doesn't matter what industry. People just want to be inspired. The how and the details aren't as important as you think. People just want to be inspired. So do that. And then if you're really gangster about it, you will run ads directly on Instagram, Facebook, especially LinkedIn, and you will make sure that content shows up in front of all the leadership for probably $8 a day. You can do it for 2 months, and you'll know they all heard it. Because they're going to be like, doesn't this chick work for us? She's out here doing a lot of big things outside of company time.
Yeah. I love it.
Just some thoughts. That's just initials, but you could refine that down and really take that somewhere.
I think that's amazing.
Here's what's been so cool about the last hour is that, like, even Oscar mentioned it too. Like, you guys, you have touched minds, you have touched hearts.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Going above and beyond. It's really incredible. So, what's the best way for them to stay connected with you?
So always Instagram. Instagram is one of my main platforms. Facebook. I'm also very active on Facebook and YouTube. We do our show. We do a show twice a week. And we do it via StreamYard. So it broadcasts on Facebook and YouTube simultaneously. And it's at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And that's when you get us.
Yep. And I would say the main places are one website, marquettabreslin.com.
Yep.
If you're on that email list, you'll get really what's going down and all the cool stuff we're doing. And we just share all that out.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
And if you missed any of that, go to the description on the videos. And please, if you just joined us, you can watch this after we close up. It'll stay on Facebook and YouTube both. So you can always come back. Make sure you watch from the beginning because there was gems all throughout. But in the description, we'll make sure we have links that you can stay connected to Marquetta and Ricky. And it sounds like we're going to have to do this again because
yes.
in the comments, there's been, how do I get more of this? How do I get more of this? So this might actually end up being a somewhat regular visit.
we would love to have it. And Andrew, we can't wait for you on our show.
Yes.
Correct, Andrew? We're coming on the Marquetta and Ricky show. So we'll have a great time on our show. We'd love to have you on our show, Andrew. He went all the way.
My microphone's up there, so.
But no, we just so appreciate you, Andrew, and the audience, and we just had a great time, man.
Thank you so much. We had an amazing time. Ricky rarely does these interviews with me, so thank you for inviting him on here too.
You may have started something new, Andrew, beyond our show.
Yes, so good.
The couples thing kind of works.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, we at Zambia, we just so appreciate both of you, just what you're doing for our industry, the education that you create. It's so powerful. It's so needed. So we just can't thank you enough for just being who you are. So thank you.
Thank you, and Sam. So we appreciate you guys.
Yes, absolutely. And the whole team.
Everybody's been very kind at your company, and we appreciate that.
Yes.
Okay, so hang out in the green room just for a minute. I want to say goodbye to you guys after I close up, but
sure.
I'll be
all right. Have a great one. Stay around.
Oh my gosh, are you guys just in love or what? Like, what incredible humans and just doing so much good for our world. I mean, so fantastic. So we'll definitely have them back on because I can see by your comments that you want more of both of them. So we'll make sure where they come back. Also in the description of the video, click on the link for the education. We have so much coming up Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You guys know if you've been with us that those first 3 days of the week, we have tons of education for you. Tons of incredible great guest artists coming forward. So bless you all. Stay safe out there. Stay healthy. And hey, look, we're in the hair industry. We're going to get through this. We always do, right? That's what we do. So peace out. We'll see you soon.